Come on in. Let's go ahead and go through this really quick. Okay, so for my dragonflies, April Harrell, Darla White, Dawn, Holly Spink, Jane Dunlap, Mary Reynolds, Melissa, and Michelle Caldwell. My butterflies are Debbie Rask, Ellen Davis, Jenna Lynn, Marla Kimmel, and I've got my wildflowers. Hello to all of you, as a matter of fact. Amy Lynn Melanson, Hippie Bee Kimmy, Janice Crane, Lee Brown, Linda Powell, MK, Nikki Proctor. Welcome, Nikki. Polly, Rhonda Howe, and Sasha. Thank you all for all of your support. It is very much appreciated. So let's go on to, okay, so if you guys don't know me and you're here for the first time, my name is Christy Stone. I am owner of the company Junk Journal Boss. It's a family-run, family-owned business, and you know, we're very small, and so, you know, we spend a lot of time reaching out to our customers and creating, you know, special events and things like that for them, and we also love it. Usually it's me and Ezra, but Ezra is having a birthday today, so everybody post in the chat happy birthday to Ezra. He won't be here because, you know, you want the day off when it's your birthday, right? So yeah, so that's where we're at on that. And if you can hear me, let me know. And I'm pretty sure I'm good on sound, but just in case. Okay, so what we are doing today is something similar to this. It's not exactly this, but it's very similar. It's this type of book. There's no spine, there's 3 rings, and pretty much every page is a board, you know. And so this was my September one from, I think, last year or the year before. And so I have, you know, lots of pockets. I have some flip outs, more pockets, and you really can do this any way that you want. You know, you can just add whatever. Got pockets. So the idea was each day I was supposed to do one, or on the first, on the second, you know, and I was following some September prompts, but I did not get to the place where I was consistent with it, but I just really love it anyway. Just as it is, it's really so beautiful. And so, yeah, this one's one of my favorites. So I got till the 10th. And so, anyway, this is kind of similar to what we're going to be doing. And we're not really doing it for any particular month. But the first thing that you're going to need if you want to follow along, you're going to want some, you can use like cereal box or whatever. For this, I just use like the backs of tablets. And for the covers, front and back covers, I used 70-point pressed cardboard. I'm not sure exactly what that's called. Chipboard, I'm sorry. Yes, I do know what that's called. Chipboard. So I only have 4 of these because I just want to make sure everything I have is going to fit in there. So you would need 2, and you can make this any size, but if you want to make it the same as me, it's 7 by 4.5, 2 of those, and 2, I don't know, 6.5, 6 3/4 by, you know, 4 1/4. And I just have 4 of those. And I'm not going to put it together just yet. But what I'll be using when I do is I'll be using these 3 loose leaf rings, and you can get these in any color that you want, but I'm just going to use silver because it's going to match the paper that I'm using today. And the other thing that I like to do with these is I really like to use corners. So for the front and the back, and so I'm going to use 8 of these. So that's pretty much the bare bones. Sorry, I need to adjust. That's pretty much the bare bones hardware that you're going to need. Okay, so a couple of things I want to show you, because I already did poke all of the holes, and some of the holes might look different sized, whatever. The reason for that is because I would like to be able to, whoops, I didn't realize I was so far up. I would like to be able to fit these rings in, and inevitably, even if you mark all of these, it ends up becoming, you know, kind of a strain to still put all of the rings on. So, oh, I was in the right place. Okay. All right. So, what I did here at first was, actually, I think that one's here, and I needed a guide for the pages, right? And I also needed a guide for this, but actually I used, I didn't use this, but what you would do if you wanted to use if you wanted to make a guide for yourself, you would cut it the same length, and then you would mark just however much you want to go in from the edge, and you would just go ahead and, so I don't measure exactly, I just end up, you know, creating something I could use, and then I go ahead and just adjust as needed. So, okay, so that I don't need. So really, I mean, this isn't going to be a very pretty junk journal, you know. So, but we're going to make it pretty, okay? So we'll start out with our cover. And so what happens when you cover a cover with paper when you've already punched the holes in? And the answer is nothing. You just cover it with paper, you don't worry about it, and then you decide later where you need to make adjustments, okay? So this is, I'm going to be using my Watercolor Sea. This one is the prettiest one, I think. So I'm going to use this part of this page, and if I want to, on the inside, I can, you know, just use, you know, some of this other, it just depends on how large that's going to be. Alright, so to make this easy, I am going to go ahead and I should actually just, let me trim the outsides first, and that's what I'm going to do, and that will make it much, much easier to cut, you know, the right size that I need. And even if I cut it just a little bit bigger, which I probably will, because it's better to have a larger piece of paper or cardstock than a smaller one, because then you have to do something about like any edges that are showing that are unattractive or whatever. So I do want this to cover the whole cover. I'm not going to do anything like cover it and then, you know, do the inside of it, and that's what I usually do when I have when I do those with the spine, but I don't really think I want to do that this time. I want to do something a little bit different. I think I'm going to go with this actually for the back, and you have to do this really carefully because you don't want to cut the actual cover. I'm just kind of going through. It helps a lot if you have a really sharp blade, and I really like these for that, because when a blade gets really dull, you can just crack it off and you've got a new blade again. So and for cutting paper like this, it's pretty imperative that you're going to use. Oh, I cut his nose off a little bit, didn't I? I don't know about that. It's pretty imperative that you're going to want to have a sharp blade, because it is going to be a problem if you don't. It'll munch up the edges. It'll make you have to do like way more than like one pass over the paper. Even if it's just regular paper, you could get rips and things like that. So it's just always best to have a nice blade. And any of you guys that are here, did you get an email from me today, or a message on Patreon or anything like that? Because I've been working on putting that all together, a whole system that it will be much, much easier to find me, but it's taking me a while. So I think I haven't done the Wednesday live stream emails yet. So this looks super cool. I totally love it. What do you guys think? And then I can use anything for the inside or the back or whatever, but I love this for the front. So we'll go ahead and work on the front for a minute. And I am going to use, since I'm using cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and use my, this is actually a mixture of Barely Art and Art Glitter Glue. No, actually this is just the Art Glitter Glue, sorry. Yeah, so I like using this, but it is kind of a pain to unclog. Alternatively, if you don't want to be doing this every single time, because it really is like that for me. I don't know if anybody else is, any genius out there has gotten this where it's not going to create globs and stuff for you. Let me know. What's the secret? I store it, you know, on its side or upside down. I've used like stainless steel pins to go into the top. I've used, right now I'm just resorting to a paper clip because I've got a lot of those around. I've used pins that claimed to be stainless steel and ended up rusting, and so I don't like to use that because it's kind of, well, it comes out brown and it's kind of ugly. So, alright, so here is my cover. I could have, if I wanted to, I could have made this piece a little bit larger. If I wanted to wrap it, and I could have just, you know, wrapped it around, but I just felt like it was going to put too much bulk here to have like 3 sheets of paper to go through. But I mean, you know, it's a thought. kind of an interesting thought to do it that way. And hello, I don't know who's here, but I want to welcome you and say hello. And, oh, that's not very helpful, is it now? You know what, let me just do a quick little cut in each one, and then I'll know. Where they are, maybe. And I'm just kind of marking them here because I want to make them better holes. But yeah, I could have probably just done this. Is just got my Crop-A-Dile, and the Crop-A-Dile, I find this to be like a super important tool for me because it actually will go through cardboard, you know, layers of cardboard and chipboard and, you know, everything really, really nicely. So, I could add eyelets here, and I think that would look really great, but I want to make sure to pull it all together first, because I can always take off the cover and come back and do the eyelets. And for this one, I am going to use, I don't know, peacock feathers. Yeah, I think peacock feathers or salty ocean. I'm not sure which. I'm just gonna to find my tool. Oops. And I kind of keep losing all of my fresh ones, and I keep using them with the same colors. So I am going to take this lightest one and I'll rub off any black ink from it. It doesn't look like there's very much, so that's fine. And I believe I will use Salty Ocean. I don't know if I need to use the same color throughout, but I'm going to start with Salty Ocean. And I gotta say that it's kind of against my better judgment, because this one would really bring out, you know, these, and I think they look like saltier waves. But anyway, we'll start with this. That's pretty dark, isn't it? And I've been really working at like not doing it really thick or smudgy or anything like that, and so that means doing it slower. Just applying it slowly. And why not? Because we're here for 2 hours, right? And so what we're going to be doing between now and 1 is putting together the covers and covering the pages on the inside. I think that looks pretty good. Oh, let me do it this side too. I can cover the inside. I don't know, it doesn't always seem, you know, very necessary for these board books, but if you hate the way it looks, you know, just cover the inside. And this is a really cool way to build a junk journal, because you can always add more pages, and if you have to, you can change the size of the rings, and you still have those rings to use on a different journal, or, you know, whatever you would use it for. But your book will be able to hold more pages. So that's kind of cool. All right. So just for good measure, I'm going to go around and just kind of do the edges of all of these, just so, you know, they're pretty much uniform and I don't forget anything. And that way also, if I don't want to cover one of these pages all the way, like I might just, you know, want to just do something directly on this brown. And I'm just going to tell you that I can't imagine what I would be doing. But I do want to be able to have a page, you know, that doesn't look like I've done nothing to it. I don't want it to look like the back of a tablet, right? And it might be better just to you know, do them as needed, because I'm guessing you guys don't want to spend your time watching me do this, inking the edges of this. But anyway, that's how I would do it. If I wanted to, I would make sure that the side is also covered. I didn't necessarily do that here, so maybe I should. And it looks pretty good, you know. Generally speaking, it's pretty covered just from what I was doing. But I'll just go ahead and do that. So for the back, I can do this scenery right here, or this one. This one actually looks nicer. Or, not that it's nicer really, it's just thinner. And it looks like it would fit a little bit better. And I've got another lighthouse, but I've already got the lighthouse. So, I'm not sure. Do I want another lighthouse on the back? Maybe. Maybe. But I think I'm going to go with this. This is what my gut's telling me. To do this one. And it looks as though with the edges cut off and everything, it's going to look pretty good. And I might move it up a little bit more to catch that little boat out in the distance. But let me make sure that I'm all the way over. If you guys would like to use this too for yours, you can go to my Etsy shop, and all those links are in there. And I believe I have a $5 off coupon in there as well. This is a 95-page set, so it's a little more expensive than what we normally charge. But 95 pages, guys. It's a lot of pages. Okay, so hopefully we got this right. Oh, perfect. Look at that. That looks really nice. And I may need to trim a little bit around that, but not much. Looks pretty good. This, position it so I can't see anything on the back, and then I'm going to use this spreader, and I like using this spreader because, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I keep losing all the smaller things that I've been using. And this spreader just happens to always be able to be located by my eyes. So that's what I'm using. And otherwise you would use something like a burnisher or something, you know. I believe they have them at Dollar Tree for $1.25, for more than $1. I want to try to get these right. And sometimes this material wants to stick in here. But I highly recommend a Crop-A-Dile. It's just where regular hole punches, you know, are, they're okay, right? But this one is just fantastic. Always clean, always able to go through, you know, some thick things and thin and make the hole look nice. I don't know about you, but I've been frustrated with other kinds of hole punches, and this is like solved all of my problems as far as hole punching. I wish it would have solved more problems than that, like, you know, folding the laundry or something like that, but it doesn't do that, surprisingly. So anyway, so there's my cover. I've got my front and my back. Oh, goodness. Did I do that wrong again? Okay, that's okay. Guys. And I even did it backward. Okay, I have two covers now. What am I going to do? Okay, so that can be the inside of that. So now I guess I am going to cover these two. And let's see. Let me put this one, and it can be the back cover. Sorry about that dolphin nose being slightly cut off, but it'll be on the back. It's cute. It's all good. Okay, so I glued to the wrong side, so just make sure, this is how a good fix for it, you just make sure that when you're doing the back that the holes are on this side rather than on this side, because then, you know, it'll look right when you put it all together. But this is not a big deal, you know. I have a lot of this paper, and a lot of it can just be see, it's kind of a lot of trimming right here. Okay, just do this with this. Hey Michelle, how you doing? All right. We are making, for those of you that just came in, we're making, I don't know, like a 3-ring board book type thing, like this. And this is one I did last year, I think, or the year before, one of the two. And I really love it, you know. It's really cool. Yes, I can give you the sizes. So for the front and back, you're going to want 7 by 4.5. Let's see if I could do this for you. These don't write all that great, but excuse me. Covers 7 inches by 4.5 inches, and you need 2. Okay. Pages. Okay, so I use chipboard for this, but you can use, you know, cereal box, doubled up, or whatever. It's really up to you. And so for this one, these are the pages, and you'll need, I'm starting with 4, and this is about 6 5/8 by 4.25. I mean, you can fudge a little on this, you know, just as long as they fit inside of the covers, right? And we're working on the back cover right now. Got my trusty Crop-A-Dile out. One thing I don't like about this is that the well is like so long, you know, from here to here, that it's hard to kind of get things out of there, but you know, you can use the stylus, that would be helpful. So, right. If you're here for the first time, I'm Christy. I own the business Junk Journal Boss, and it is a family-run, family-owned business, and we really appreciate all the support that you are giving and that you can give to us, because we're very small and we're trying to, you know, get some more consistent income now that we, meaning my husband and I, well, I guess not me, but are retired. So once we're done with, you know, once we're too old to run this business, we're passing it along to one of our children. So, hi Amy. Did you guys not get an email from me? I've been working on like some sort of way that I can make sure to cover all of the different emails, and I know I'm not finished yet. Did you two get any kind of notification from me? You don't have to be sorry for being late, Michelle. This is like chill time. Oh, thanks, Amy. Was it in Patreon or email? Do you mind saying? Oh, okay. Alright, I'm pretty sure I got like my YouTube notifications all done. Those reminders, and I think I did. I started on the emails over the weekend, but you know, just full disclosure, guys, I am not doing the best with this med switch that I have right now. It's kind of irritating, but you know, I'm okay. Everything's fine. Okay, Patreon. Good. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Amy. So, you know, I'm a little quieter, a little less energy and all that, but you know what? I'm here, and that is important. Oh boy, got like a weird cut here. likely because I didn't use a ruler. So now I got a little chunk out of there, which is kind of a bummer. And I'm kind of wondering if oh, here we go. I did cut that off. Just needs a little bit of help. Yeah, all in all, you know, using the covers to measure isn't the best. But, you know, it's not a big deal. Okay, so theoretically, let's look at this. This is the front cover and the back cover, and this is what it'll look like on the inside, which will be really pretty. All right. My trusty thingamajig here. I like doing this because it pushes the glue to the edge or closer to the edge so that it can actually be you know, more secure and less bumpy. And so I did have that little chunk out of the paper, but it still just looks fine. And so I'm going to ink all the edges on the back now to look like this one. And I'm using Salty Ocean. And I really, really like it. It's Ranger ink, Distress Oxide, Salty Ocean. Looks really cool. Looks like I might need to glue a little bit of the edges down. It's a little big, but I think it's okay just as long as it's not coming up on the edges, and this one is, so let me just get that all fixed up. And then once you're done, you can come back in with your punch. That's the only thing I don't like about this, is that it doesn't really just empty itself. So it's kind of annoying, but nah, whatever. Taking care of a little bit of details. I may be putting eyelets here, but I want to kind of, you know, get all this done and see if the eyelets are going to be a problem, then maybe I won't put them, but it is much neater. Alright, so inside covers, outside covers, I think that's how it goes. Yes. Coming out really cool. I totally love this. So for the insides, I believe that I will also be using cardstock for this, because all it's really going to do is just kind of strengthen the, it'll make this more, you know, stronger, because really all it is just like the back of a tablet or whatever. So let's see what we got here. These are 6 5/8 by 4 2/5, or 4.25 I should say. And I have some of these, and I think these would look really cool. So I can use, I think what I might do is just like lightly trace around these, and then use the blade so that I'm not ripping up the edges of this. So and all of these are not perfectly the same size. If you want them to be perfectly the same size, that's fine. I'm not that much of a stickler for that. You know, I'm okay with it if it's not exactly. But then again, if they aren't exactly, that once you start cutting them out, you're going to have to figure out which one you traced around, or you're going to have to cut them down. Maybe. So these are all single-sided prints, and that's what I recommend when you print out the Watercolor Sea stuff. Oh, I think I'm going to need a second set here, so that's okay. So theoretically, you'll need 2 pages per page, if that makes sense. 2 rectangles per page. And the cool thing about this is that you can just kind of position it on the parts that you want to be on your page. The downside is that it might kind of look weird because, like for this it's not going to matter, but with the lined pages it could be a problem. And in that case you'd probably want to do them all, you know, like if they're going to be pages that show like this, you might want to line them up. I don't think I did that this time, but you know me, I'm not going to stress about that stuff. I usually cut first and make the corrections later. That's kind of how I do things, but everybody does things differently, and if you're more precise, more power to you. That's cool, right? Pretty cool. I like that. Let's see. Yeah, so if I cut that, this will match up the little path, and that's pretty cool. So, you know, there's like little details like that that you might want to consider. If it's just like a, you know, repeated print or something, you know, it's not a big deal. But, you know, let's see. Let me just cut along this edge because I think these are both kind of like that. This is a little crooked. Let me make that correction. Try to make this line a little bit straighter. And on this side too. And I'm kind of using the lines as a guide. Hopefully this is going to be the right size. You know, but yeah, use your discretion. So, let's see. I am using that Ranger ink to ink the edges, Salty Ocean. So if there are like a little bit of fudges or you cut a little bit too short, it's not that big of a deal. And it's the reason I use stuff like that is to cover up the on-the-fly, you know, good plans that I have, if you will. And so, okay, I think this could go on the outside, so that can be like a, wait a minute, outside. So that would be a pretty first page, and then I want to put this one, and then this one, because I would like these to meet right here. I kind of feel like this is like probably my second page. Yeah, these ones are all the same size, so like that, and then this would be this one. I mean, I don't know if it really matters, but anyhow, I'll go with it. And this one's actually probably this one here. That's what I mean about the confusion. Now, if you want to like totally avoid that confusion, just cut them the same, you know. I just have to make everything more complicated, and that's just who I am. So, and then I'll do this last one, and that will go there. So I've got my first 4 pages done, so now it's time to just go ahead and glue. And so when I was poking the holes in this, some of them I had to make a little bit different, like maybe cut a few more holes, a few more holes around the original hole, and that's so that everything would, or that there would be enough play in between the, or in the holes to allow it to move around a little bit. I'll show you what I mean by that. I don't know. So, just to kind of give you an idea of what I mean. Yeah, I'm putting the pages on the chipboard. So this is a chipboard, the thick chipboard. It's 70 point. You can use something else, you know, if you want to. You just want to end up with the covers to be a little bit larger than the the pages themselves. So alright, doing okay here. Do you guys use like tiny little scissors like this? I just got 4 pairs of these and I am like so into them. I better poke the holes first. Actually, let me just mark where they're at. And the reason why is because I don't want to have to cut the holes out of this like twice. So I'm just going to mark them with this knife. And then I'm going to glue the other. And then it won't really matter because I'll just be using my my Crop-A-Dile just to do the holes. We're going to see how that works because there may be a good reason not to do it that way, but we're always experimenting here, right? We're about experimenting and finding solutions over here. You know. no craft project is trash until, you know, it absolutely cannot be salvaged. But to me, everything seems to be able to be salvaged. So now we have our little bitty X's. So I'm going to, this is the one thing I just don't like about this Crop-A-Dile, is that it doesn't let go of the little pieces of paper in there for whatever reason. So I'm just going to have to, that's a pleasant sound, right? I'm just going to have to sort of eyeball it and hope I'm in the right place, and it looks fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this onto here. I'll ink the edges later because it's not really the most important part of this kind of journal. What it is that you're getting the pages in, and you know, the rings move around the way they need to in order to give, you know, the pages space to be turned and all that. So, you know, that's where we're at with that. If I have time later, I'll ink the edges and, you know, finish that all up. And then on Friday night, we will go ahead and create embellishments. And I think I'm going to pull some of those out of my original book, because I think some of those are, so, you know, it'll be a different sort of embellishment. We do have a lot of embellishments inside of the Watercolor Sea set, but I don't know. For the folios, I do this a lot, like the folio videos, where I'll just like take the ephemera and just kind of, you know, paste it on, or do whatever the piece of ephemera is supposed to, or create what it's supposed to be. But, ouch. Don't poke yourself with scissors. Oops. Do this a different way. Those scissors are really sharp, you guys. And then this one. If I left off in the middle of a sentence, let me know so I can finish it, but if not, all good. I do that sometimes, speaking like half sentences, and so things can get a little confusing. So, straightening all that out using my this little spreader thingy. So you don't really need a bunch of fancy tools if you don't want to, you know. You can poke holes with an awl and just sort of, you know, make the hole a little bit bigger with the awl by just kind of wiggling it in the hole, if that makes sense. You know, you can just use your scissors to cut, and you can just use a spatula of some sort, you know, to spread the glue around and smooth the pages. You know, honestly, you don't really need a whole bunch of you know, expensive tools. But I gotta say that they do really make life much easier. So, yeah. Alright, so we want to make sure this is fitting on these, and everything so far so good, right? I've got a couple more pages to do, and I think I would like to do another set of, oh, but I like this one. So These ones are super cute, and I'd like these two to be the inside of the next 2 pages, so that is for sure happening. And these are really cute too. Let's see, is there another page that I like? No, that one's pretty much the same as the other one. Okay, so now I know what I'm using here, and the set also comes with, I mean, I did a couple double-sided pages for signatures, which I may use later, but this stuff is like just the cardstock, the single-sided cardstock that I printed from this set. All right. And this would be kind of cool for a belly band right here. I wanted to do that. And then I'm going to cut, well, hold on, I'll just mark right here what 4.25 is. Excuse me. So 4.25 is about here and about here. So let's see if I eyeball if this looks just about right, and it kind of does, so there we go. We'll go with it. So this is kind of funny and weird, but yesterday Todd and I had to go and get our truck. We had to have our first oil change, and they give that to you for free, which is really cool. But the place that we made the appointment was down, you know, probably about 40 minutes away, 35 minutes or so. And so we get down there. We didn't bring our second car, and so, you know, there's that. I'm going to cut this little edge off, but I do want to have this little shell here on the page. So I want these to be 6 5/8, and that would be right around here, right around here. So anyways, we get there, and we thought it would just be an oil change, and they said it would be 2 hours, which is kind of weird for a Tuesday, but whatever. And we figured, all right, I guess we could just kind of sit here, because there wasn't really anywhere to walk, which is what we usually do. We'll usually go and walk to a local restaurant or something. That wasn't an option, and so we ended up taking an Uber home, which was kind of, it was sort of a first experience for me and Todd, because, you know, I mean, in this day and age, people are taking Ubers. That's what they're doing, you know, or Lyft or whatever. We've just always had a car, so it's just never been a thing we had to do. But anyhow, that is what we did. And man, it was so great. I was like, oh, I could get used to this, you know. And then I was thinking about what I just said, and I'm like, oh, I guess my husband could drive me around. But it was kind of cool to sit in the back seat, you know, and just be like, home, James. Just kidding, we didn't say that, but you know, just to have somebody else be in charge of, you know, following the directions home and all that. It was kind of fun. So, anyhow, now you know we are really old. We don't take Ubers normally. Okay, so now I need this to be 4 1/4. Okay. my 6 5/8. It's going to be right about here, by there. And so sometimes if the lines are like crooked up here, it sort of conflicts with, you know, how the, oh, wait a minute, 5/8. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. It kind of throws off, you know, what it's supposed to look like. And it makes it harder to cut. So, but so far so good, you guys. These are all just about the same size. And so, let's do, we'll do 4 1/4 from this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. You don't need a special cutter unless you want to use, I mean, and even then you don't really need it. But for the chipboard, I used my big, you know, heavy duty cutter that cuts through chipboard. And you know, you could just use a blade like I'm doing now. It's really not too big of a deal. Oh wait, this goes on this side and this guy goes on this side. I love seahorses, you guys. I like horses even too. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? That, and let's do this side so we know what pages are going to be facing each other. Alright, cool. Uh-oh, this is a little short. Okay, so I cut it a little short for this particular page, and I can cut the page down if I want to, or I can just ink this edge and it wouldn't be a big deal. So I'm just going to do that because I already cut it once and I don't really kind of want to cut it again, just in case like the other page that I cut specifically for this one is ends up weird too. So let's see which one. Maybe this longer one was here. And the shorter one here, maybe? Yeah. That's what it looks like anyhow. Alright, well, you know, this video will be here for a while, and I'll try to make sure to put, you know, but I mean, I want to do everything, guys. I'm just gonna, like, full disclosure here. I want to do everything. I don't mean to promise things that I don't do, but sometimes I do. So, but one thing I really would like to do is to, you know, add all the information, you know, into the description. But at this point, you know, I've got a lot of things going, and so no promises, but I will at least put the link to the shopping list for Friday inside of this description, and then come back Friday and you can have everything that you need to embellish this book. And you don't need the Watercolor Sea papers, guys. I mean, we have it available if you want, but you don't need to have it to make this book. You just need to have some pretty paper that you like. Excuse me. If you do want the Watercolor Sea, you'll find in the description of this video, you will find the link and also a $5 off coupon for that, because this is one of our more, oh no, I did one upside down. Oh well, that happens. So yeah, so it's got 95 pages, so yes, it's so pretty. And if you've already got some Distress Oxide and it's not blue and you're using Watercolor Sea, another color I recommend, which pretty much everybody probably has, is the just the vintage photo color, and that one would look really great on here too. Oh yeah, everybody needs a little beach life. I haven't been to the beach in a really, really long time. I actually grew up there in Redondo Beach, California, LA County, and I used to go often, and by myself too, you know, when I was a kid, and I would just go swim in the, you know, in the ocean there. But we also lived right next to the pier, and the pier had all kinds of fun stores and things, and but it also was shaped like a horseshoe, and so I would swim in the horseshoe. I felt a little bit safer, but there were still waves, and I'd still get like moved around a lot, like somersaults and things. And it was really fun. So anyways, alright, so there's one page done. Oh, I just got telling you guys before that I wouldn't ink the edges, but here, I do want to do it for this for sure, because here's part of the cardboard. You know, I didn't make this tall enough, so this is how I usually deal with stuff like that. And so now you can't tell, you know, that this page isn't large enough for this. Yeah, we're less close, but to the beach. We would go to like Oceanside or San Diego, but that's still like an hour and a half. And also then in the other direction, you know, we could go back up to Huntington Beach if we wanted to, or whatever, but that's also the same amount of time. So anyhow, alright, so on the top and the bottom, both of the top and the bottom had a little bit of it showing, you know, the cardboard showing, and really, it's not a big deal. You can just ink around the edges and you'll never even know. Oh shoot, look what I did. But that's okay. The important thing right now is just to poke all the holes, which interestingly I did not. Now I have to find them. And so where would they be? Oops. There we go, I found one. There it is. There it is. Okay. And then on this one, I mean, this isn't foolproof or anything. It's just kind of when you make this mistake, you know, you don't have to. It's making a lot of. Is it this side? It better not be this side. I don't like that if it is. Yeah, I really like going to the beach. I mean, I'm really a homebody, you guys, and so everything always sounds like a great idea until that day comes, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't want to go do that. But I am really having trouble with this one, guys. So don't do it this way. All right. There we go. Yeah, but they're going to be a thinner chipboard. So I'm going to go ahead and just start cutting these. And before I decide, I guess I'll just go here. And like I said before, sometimes you just have to, like make these a little bit bigger. So the bigger chipboard, the 7x4.5, you want those covered, and those are a thicker chipboard. So what you can do if you don't have 70-point chipboard or 100 point or whatever, is you can just put 2 to 3, maybe more, pieces of you know, cardboard box, or you know, like cereal box or whatever, and so there's that, and you know, just make it like a cardboard sandwich. And that will give you a nice heavy cover that feels pretty substantial. Alright, so now I want to put a couple more pages in and make sure these all, okay, let me do this. Okay, wait a minute. This one. This way. And obviously you don't have all that trouble with like what, you know, what position to put the pages or whatever, unless you want it. Okay, so this is actually what I'm talking about. So when one of the circles are, or one of the holes are, one's higher than the other, you need this to match that. So I'm just going to cut right next to it another, and you see how that made that larger, but that was really super tight. You know, when the circles don't, or the punches don't match up, it can make it kind of miserable to try to turn the pages. So, but luckily this is a project that is not, it's pretty forgiving. Oh, so, oh no, that was the same. Alright, so this one's going to have a longer punch, so I'll just punch right next to it. That doesn't look very pretty, but you can always, you know, use an awl or use a tool to make it work. So the more pages you put on, the less room you have for uneven punches. But here we are. Isn't it so cute? Oh my god, I love this. And let's do the page turning test here. And so you want to be able to, you know, just like a regular notebook. And this is a good project for when you have, like, you know, if you get pads of paper or whatever, like scrapbook paper and stuff, there's always going to be some, you know, a back to it, because a lot of them come in pads. Well, I guess Colorbach does. I don't know about any of the others, but Colorbach is pretty, it's pretty much widely available. But if you have, and I think some of them that aren't tablets might have like a back that keeps everything straight. And so if you have that, you know, a bunch of those, this is a good project for that. So I have a little bit of time left, so I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges while you guys catch up. And if you have any questions, I will watch the chat. Okay, I notice that I've got a little overhang here, so before I ink it, I'm going to go ahead and trim. Alright, that's not something that's easy to do one-handed. So just to kind of expand on Michelle's question of, so we want 4 more chipboard pages, front and back. So basically you want 2 chipboard pages covered front and back, and you know, and that, and then those ones need to be like, you know, pretty thick, because they're going to be your cover. You're basically having making like a board book kind of thing. If you have that same kind of chipboard for the pages on the inside, that's fine. If you don't, you can make those like, you know, 2 layered of cereal box, and do maybe the covers 3 layers or something like that. So use up all that cardboard. And I love you reclaiming things and using them for something else. It's kind of it's something that puts a smile on my face. So I'm not going to say it's like always my thing, because it's not really always my thing. But I do like doing it. Oh, Kaneki sounds like he's home. Oh no, he's outside. Alright, so I'm going to need to do something, because I ended up putting this page on upside down. It really should have been, you know. But anyway, that's totally fine. because there's enough ephemera in this set that I'll be able to do something attractive there. If not ephemera, I can, you know, I don't know, do something that can cover this section here. Alright, I think that was the last one. And okay, and anybody have any other questions for this? I do still have about 30-40 minutes or something, and hopefully Kinnicky won't bark through it. But you know, I don't want to embellish this just yet, but because I want to do that and I want to give you guys the list of what you'll need. But I can't get over how cool this is. I really like it so much. Really, really cool. So this would be this kind of book may or may not be good for a journal. I mean, there are pages that can be journaled on. I think you would want to get, you know, a larger set of rings for this. But, you know, having like say I want a lot more pictures, I could use this size rings, which is the only other size I have, and I'll show you what it looks like. It's kind of weird looking, but I don't know. I didn't have all the pages on at the same time, so let me just give it a try. Maybe it'll be not weird. Kind of doubting it, but maybe it will be not weird. So, you know, you're just playing around, you're just seeing what looks good, you know, what you like, especially if this is a journal for yourself, you know, and you don't care if these giant rings end up looking weird. What the giant rings will do for you also is it will allow you to put more pages, but it will allow you to have thicker pages. Like if you want to do like some 3D things, you'll be able to do that. But what I'm mostly concerned with is whether or not I'm able to open and close the book. And so I'm going to try that out right now. These rings are they're just so big. So yeah, I can tell already that there is some problems with the way that, and you'll get used to this when you make these a bunch, is that you'll be able to notice, you know, that sometimes the pages are not going to, it's going to be a little bit more difficult depending on the position of this, but if these stay relatively straight, you know, you'll be able to turn pages easily enough. And sometimes these rings will they'll not close all the way, so you might have to stretch them back and whatever to make it smoother to turn the pages. Alright, so now I've got these huge rings, which I am going to add a bunch more pages, so, you know. So what do you do with these huge ugly rings then? I have a couple of ideas. Well, it's mostly like just two ideas, and they're all basically the same idea. Not very creative on this one, but I like to tie ribbons around these, and you can do more than one if you want to. And you know, oops, thankfully that doesn't spill. You know, get your craft jar out, or your scraps jar, and just tie a bunch of matching ribbons to this. So I'm going to start with this one here, and just cut enough to tie. Let's see, this is half. So I think I'm going to just do this, and then I'll end up with something about the same size, so that's good. So just kind of tie these in a knot, you know. It doesn't have to be like super fancy, or it can if you want, but you know, I think this actually it gives it a lot of charm, you know. And I think for these big rings, I'm going to add a few different kinds of ribbon that I think are, you know, kind of along the lines of these colors here. I don't know about this one, but I'm going to try it. It might be weird. Then again, it might be like really charming. We just don't know until we try it. Alright, so let me kind of eyeball this. So we've got 1, 2, 3. These two are a little bit longer, but I probably am going to cut them a little bit shorter because I need to trim. I like the edges to both look kind of the same. So what I mean by that is, if one end is cut diagonally, I want the other end to be also. Loki's making her appearance. So this one is, and I'm just going to use this side as a guide, because to me this part doesn't have to be perfect. This also draws another pastel color in, so if you have something yellow that you want to use, you know, on a different page, that's fine, you can totally do that. So everything doesn't have to be like super matchy-matchy for, you know, for any of your journals. You know, you're just basically going for a certain feel, you know. Okay, that color. Let me just dump stuff out. And I love to have a scrap jar like this, because it gives me a lot of ideas. Like, I wouldn't have picked this one out, but I'm going to use it because it looks cool. It actually kind of matches. Even though it's not really like the same feel, it does match. And I actually really like this this fabric because it came off of one of my mom's flannel shirts that she probably was wearing for breast cancer awareness. And so there's that. And so I think of my mom when I see these. Okay. Got a little string stuck in there. Deal with it later. But so far it's looking pretty cute, right? With all these ribbons on it. And so you're just going to keep looking for stuff in your scraps. Frayed stuff is really cool. It doesn't have to be perfectly frayed, I guess you could say. But I'm going to go ahead and just switch this around a little bit and maybe put these back here. You can also make tassels and just, you know, hang them off of here. But if you have like big ribbon or big rings, you know, it's probably good to just tie these on. And I'm not tying them like into a double knot or anything. So if I end up not liking the way this looks, or thinking that I need a different size of ring, it's not a big deal, you know. I can just untie them. Or if I look at them and I go, really, I hate that color, you know, I can take it off of there. So, let me take a sip real quick. These rings, I believe, are 2-inch rings, but let me just do a quick measure on it. Actually, it might be easier to just do one of these. Yeah, these look like 2-inch rings. The other ones that I had were 1-inch rings. So, I mean, theoretically, it'd probably look just great with 1.5-inch rings, but I didn't have that size, so. Here's another color that will be cool. And so, just pulling all of this here, I can actually just see what's going to match. See what pops out, and then, you know, and then I have a whole bunch of different options here. So, I mean, you can just keep on adding stuff, but just keep in mind that when you add it, you don't want it to be so bulky that you can't open the pages. So, you know, just push them back, and then you can open them and turn the pages. And, you know, and it's all good. So, you can put them over this part where it joins, you know, where it's like got a little screw in it, if you don't like the way that looks, you know, whatever you like. And then, you know, when you're putting it on the shelf, you can just spread these out a little bit so they look a little bit cool, like more, you know, more fun. And so now that I am finished with that part, I still have some time, so I think I would like to, where is that? Oh, here it is. I'm going to take out the front cover because I'm going to embellish that some. There will be lots of embellishment to do. So the bulk of it's going to happen. But really, I just kind of want to take some of my scraps out and see what I like, you know. Put 2 scraps together if I want. And me see what this all looks like. Guess I should put this away. Alright, let me take a quick break to put this away so we have more space. Okay, so I think that I won't put any eyelets in these, just because I think it will complicate matters. And I'm not going to do them for the inside anyways, the inside pages, you know. It's not really it doesn't really matter if these ones don't have an eyelet. Okay, so now I've got this little join down here, and that's probably fine. I can always cover it up with something else. You know, maybe I can cut a little ribbon or do a little bunny ears ribbon here, maybe. Just kind of shape it the way you want. Till you get it how you like. Just keep working with it. And when you're using frayed fabric, it's a little weird, you know, when it doesn't, or when you're trying to get that look that you want, you know, the bunny ears the size you want, I guess you could say. But and after all that, I really don't even think I like this. But you know, you can do that, something like that if you want. This book doesn't really need a closure, and so you know, it's going to be fine without one, because theoretically it's going to close flat. If you have a whole bunch of stuff in it, you may want to do something like that. So like this one is pretty full, you know, and the way I have, let me focus that a little bit better for you. I have all these different textures on the edge of the pages, and so I kind of like how it makes it just stay open. It can stand on, you know, on its side if you want it to, on a shelf, you know. So it's not, to me, it's not as important. So I've got that. Oh, I remembered what I wanted to do. This is going to clash. But I had wanted to add these. And so I am going to see if I'll be okay adding them to all of the sides. And I know books don't normally have that on all four sides, but I like it that way, so I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just go with it. If I hadn't put the ribbon in, you know, already, I would have probably not done it if I had remembered about the sides, but anyway. Sometimes things are sort of like happy accidents, you know. And so these guys kind of need some help here. staying, you know, flush with the pages. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure that you can get them as flush as you can that way and this way. Of course, this ribbon is not doing it any favors, but at any rate, I love the way that looks. I don't often do things in silver, but with this kind of color scheme, I feel like it really complements it well. Alright, so I like the way that looks. Make sure we got this looking. Right, so we got those two, and this is fine. It's not, doesn't look the best, but it's not the worst either. And so I want to add these to all sides because it is one unit. You know, you normally wouldn't do that because if there's a spine, you know, you can't add this. But I like, with these board books, I like to add them. If you don't like it, you know, no worries, just don't do it. Cheaper, right? Okay, I can see that some of these are gonna, like, I think this corner is gonna have some problems, but it's not like we can't fix it. Let's try it out. Seems okay. So far, so good. Right? I'm kind of thinking the yellow is a bit much. What do you guys think? I'll work on the back while you guys... But then again, here's yellow. So I don't know. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. Basically, this is just finishing the cover, you know. Oh, this is much easier to do. Okay, so one side goes against the table so that I can get both sides as close to flush as I can. Okay, that's inside, this is outside, okay. A couple more. Not sure where that last one went. It's probably like underneath here. I'm gonna put the ribbons all aside. Funny. Let me go grab another of these corners. As you can tell, I like to have lots of different colors of my hardware. I try to get it in about 4 different colors, if not 5 or 6, just because I don't always want to use the same thing. for every project. Okay, so there's that. Let's add this. Alright. I like it. These are still really kind of weird. You know? I don't know. These rings are just kind of too big. But I'm going to go with it because I do have, which I didn't think I had time for, but I do have a bunch more of these that I could probably fit on this ring. I don't know that I'll put all of them, but I do have them. I might save these ones that are bigger. I'll just add these little guys. And so here's how the Crop-A-Dile does. Oh, there's 4. Okay. So what I want to do here is just kind of eyeball where the holes are going to go. And, you know, it's a good chance that I might have to adjust or make some of the holes bigger, but for now, I'm going to go with this, and goodness. Can you believe that? 4 pieces of chipboard. This thing's a monster. And it's not even the biggest monster that comes from this company. There's an even bigger one that actually just sits on your table and you can poke holes in it and stuff. And so, and to show you what these would look like, what it would look like with all of these pages in. Of course, these guys are going to be a little bit, that's weird, a little bit thinner than they would be because they're not yet covered. But just to kind of give you an idea of what this might look like and how they move on the rings and stuff. Remember that this is just an experiment for me. Maybe this is going to be awful to have this many. Oh, yeah, it looks like definitely need this one to be a little bit wider, maybe. Okay, the center one. And this might just be the way the center one is, because I think the ones that I've been cutting down or cutting a little bit bigger have been the center ones, but then again, you know, I could be wrong about that. That one got cut a little short, didn't it? But they all fit. And even if I were moving them all, they generally will move together. Not a big problem. So here we go. So far, so good. Still haven't heard from you guys about the yellow, so for now I'm going to leave it, because I don't think that having yellow on the back side is actually enough to keep it on here. Yeah, since that's my opinion, I'm going to take these off, I think, and I'll use them for something else. I think I'm going to take them off. Oh, there we go. This might look better. Remember that on Friday we're going to go inside and embellish, put embellishments on the pages and stuff. And there will be a list, a supplies list, but usually that's probably only going to be for really special ones. So what you're going to want is you're going to want, you know, more pages that match your book. And hang on, you'll want more pages to match your book, right? And, you know, if you get the Watercolor Sea, you'll also get a bunch of ephemera that goes with it and stuff. You'll also want to perhaps get into your storage, your stash for stuff that we made on Monday, and that was pockets. And I'll show you what those can look inside of here. Oh, I didn't take this one off. First, take this off. There we go. So it's a little less full, but you can put more. I might put more, like more coordinating ribbon on here. Or you never know. I might think of something between now and then. And, you know, it could be that we have some special things. Oh, you know what? So, I don't really know where my pockets just went. They're pockets and envelopes. Okay, that might be where a lot of them are. My envelopes box, and so yeah. So these are the ones, some of the ones we made on Monday. There's that one. We had all of these. Right. They were just so cute. And these are projects that we did in the Patreon group. So we do these Mega Make Mondays, and so what we do is I'll teach you guys, you know, a few projects or one if it's, you know, really in depth, and that you can just make over and over. And I think what I'm going to try to incorporate in at some point, I'm not sure when, but at some point I would really like to incorporate like what it looks like to do it on an assembly line, you know. And I don't mean like working, but what I mean is, I don't know where my pockets went though. This is so weird. Oh, duh, because they weren't in there. But just to kind of show you what it looks like to do, you know, one step for like every copy that you're going to do. Does that make sense? If not, let me know and I will elaborate. You know, but I'm just going to pull out some stuff, but just pull out your things that you think are going to match nicely and just set those aside and see how it looks when you start embellishing envelopes right here. Yeah, here's another one. This one was my favorite one, actually. This one that has like 4 different pockets. So if that's something that's interesting to you, you want to learn how to, you know, make projects so that you can fill your stash quickly, because, yeah, then go over to patreon.com/junk journal and join one of the paid tiers, and you can join the one that is $2 and you'll still be able to come to those, and I'd love to see you. It would be really nice to have more people in there. We're just a little, you know, fledgling group, so you know, we have a lot of growing to do, and we'd love you to be part of that. So, You guys, I have this Forever 21 ribbon that came off of, you know, those loops that sometimes are sold or sewn into like shirts so that they will actually stay on a hanger. That's what this is. And I really just can't think of anything that to put something that it's appropriate to say Forever 21. So that's kind of funny. I pull it out like probably every time, you know, I open my ribbon jar, but and I always want to use it, but I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. I guess you could do it like on you can put it in like a junk journal that you make for your grandma who's turning like, you know, older than 21, you know, and just kind of do it that way. But you know, this would be a cute little signature to put in there. But just go through your stash and grab some stuff that you've already made and stuff you think would look cool in there. And that's why we make this bunch of stash, you know, so that we can go through there and we don't have to make every single one of these whenever it's needed. All right, so it's 12:57. I would like to again thank all of my patrons, especially my dragonflies, and I don't have my card up yet to put up here, but I'm going to very soon. But I just want to say I appreciate and love you guys, and I'm so glad that I get to do this and that you're here with me. Talk to you later. Bye.